says, I believe it says Friday and Monday.
Yes.
Okay.
That is Friday plus Monday.
Okay. So what I need you to do is cross off the Monday because I think we're going to finish this today. All right. So now I want to start with the application problem. We're going to skip a few activities so we can get to the good stuff.
The good stuff.
Okay, now remember I'm recording. Okay, so this says Louis buys 4 chocolates. It's not Luis. We talked about this in block 1. Luis is spelled like this. So we're pretty sure this is Louis, okay? Buys 4 chocolates. Each chocolate costs $2.35. I'm thinking he's at a fancy chocolate store. What do you think? Or he's buying king-size candy bars, something like that, okay? Because that's pretty expensive for 1 chocolate. Louis multiplies 4 times 235 and gets 940. Place the decimal to show the cost of the chocolates and explain your reasoning using words, numbers, and pictures. Now, I'm thinking if we were to use a tape diagram, are you with me on this? That would cover words, numbers, and pictures. What do you think? Okay. Actually, I meant area model. I said tape diagram, but I meant area model. Okay? I know, you have one. So here's my problem. I'm going to do $2.35 times 4. And if you can't see, Jaden, you can move over to the other stool because I know I'm going to be in your way. All right, so I'm going to put the 4 on the side of this area model. And how many digits are in $2.35? 3. So what place value is the 2 in? Ones. The 3. Good. And the 5? Good. Now, do you remember, and I think I said line those plus signs up with your lines in your area model and then everything stays nice and even? Okay. All right. So on Zern, you're going to see it written like this. 4 times 2 ones. And I think that was lesson 11 on Zern.
Yeah.
And then you have to know that's 8 ones. We skip this part right here, don't we? But I'm pointing it out just in case anybody's still on lesson 11 Zern. Don't remember if anybody was in this class or not.
It was Fernanda.
Oh, it was Fernanda. Okay. So 4 times 3 tenths would be how many tenths? 12 tenths.
20
And 4 times 5 hundredths would be 20 hundredths. Okay, I think I'm going to pull sticks. All right. So I've got Isaac. How do I write 8 ones? 8 and then the decimal. Good. And how do I write 12 tenths, Jaden? 1.2. And what about, Lila, what about 20 hundredths?
0.002.
Actually, it's going to be like this. Okay? Now, I want to talk about for a minute because a lot of times we take the 0 off, don't we? When it's the last digit. But I want to talk about money. How many place values do I need when I've got money?
At least 3.
Well, not always. We could have a 0 in the ones place, right?
You have to have it.
But we have to have at least what in the decimal place value?
2 digits.
2 digits, so what place value is that? Hundredths. So if money's always hundredths, should I leave my hundredths on here?
Yes.
Probably so. Okay, now we've got a couple options for adding this up. We can write it down vertically. And add it this way. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I like to challenge my brain and do this. So I'm going to add the 8 plus what first? 1. Then what will I add, Morgan?
The 2 plus the 2.
2 tenths plus 2 tenths. Then put my 0 on the end. So where should Lewis place the decimal? Between the 9 and the 4 to show hundredths place for money. We could have done that without all this, couldn't we? Because we know that money is hundredths place. But the directions said use words, numbers, and pictures. So that's why we went to all that work. And it's a good review, isn't it? For the area model. Okay, let's take a look at the lesson for today. Now, the first thing we're going to do is talk about 4th grade.
4th grade?
Yes, you have a lot of good memories from there, but I don't think drawing place value discs is one of your best memories, is it? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add decimals to this so I can keep my place values straight. Now the first problem says 9 tenths divided by 3. So we've got to think about how we're going to draw those 9 tenths so that it's easy to make 3 groups. Any ideas? No ideas? Think about an array. How would you draw an array with 9 in it? I would not just put 9 dots. I would do it in some sort of organized manner.
3 rows.
3 rows of 3, correct? Okay. So this is kind of taking you all the way back to 3rd grade, isn't it? All right. How do I show that I'm dividing these 9 dots into 3 groups? Yep, we circle. And my answer is going to be how many are in each group? 3. But it's not 3 ones, 3 tenths. Okay, now this is worth noting. When I do division, I actually multiply. So when I look at a problem like this, the first thing I'm going to do, 24 hundredths divided by 4, I'm going to take the decimal out for a minute. And I'm going to think in my mind, 4 times something equals 24. So this is what my thinking looks like. 4 times something equals 24. So when I divide, and not everybody's like this, okay? But this is how Mrs. Lewis does it. I actually multiply. Now, we are so good at our facts by now that we automatically know what fact family this is. What fact family is this? 6 times 4 equals 24. What else goes in this fact family? 4 times 6 equals 24.
24 equals 4.
24 divided by 6 equals 4.
24 divided by 4 equals 6.
Okay, so you're so good at this, you automatically recognize the missing number in the fact family, and you know the answer is already going to be 6, okay? Which one of these fact families, facts, I guess, is the one that matches my problem? The bottom one. I'm going to put a star by that, okay? So if I'm looking at this, and I want to be able to do 4 in a group, I'm going to draw 4 rows of 6. So which place value do I draw them in?
The hundredths.
The hundredths. So I'm going to do 4 rows of 6, and it's going to look like an array. And that will make it easy for me to make 4 groups. Fernanda's going to love her video, isn't she? It's with her class. Okay, so now how do I show I'm dividing into 4 groups? Draw the 4 circles or make the 4 groups. Okay, And how many are in each group?
6.
6 what?
Hundreds.
Hundredths. So 6/100ths is my answer. Following me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one, we've got to think about the fact that, the fact that matches this division fact. I'm thinking about a multiplication fact that matches it. So I've got 32 divided by 8. What multiplication fact matches that? 8 times something equals 32, okay? All right, so 4 is going to be my answer, all right? So I'm going to do 8 groups of 4. That's going to be kind of hard to fit in the box, so you might have to go down past the box. So I'm going to do 8 groups of 4 when I draw my dots. Which place value? Thousandths. Okay. Okay, and now it's going to be easy to make 8 groups, isn't it? So I'm strategically drawing these dots to make my life easier. What do you think? Good idea? Yeah. So now my answer is going to be how many are in each group? 4. So how do I write 4 thousandths?
0.008.
Okay. 4. Good. Okay. So that's a review of how to do division on the place value chart. But we added decimal place value in. Okay. And we'll come back to this the next lesson. Now, would you like to know this 5th grade way that I love to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this first one only needs 1 extra equal sign there. Because I don't have to decompose anything. I'm just going to change 1.5 to unit form. What is 1.5 in unit form?
Oh, it's 15 tenths.
15 tenths. So write down 15 tenths divided by 5. So I'm going to think in my mind 5 times something equals 15, and the answer is 3. But it's 3 tenths. How do I write 3 tenths?
0.3.
0.3. So this is actually a little bit of a mental math strategy that I'm teaching you right now, okay? When you get really good at it, you can start doing it in your head. So I'm going to think 15 tenths right away when I look at this. I just have to make sure that I have a decimal in my answer. Remember that rule for multiplication? If I multiply times a whole number, my place value doesn't change. If I multiply, or if I divide a decimal by a whole number, my place value doesn't change. So the same thing works in division. Now this one's a little trickier. Don't write what I'm getting ready to write, okay? But I'm going to break this apart into 1, 1. Don't write it. 0 tenths. Trust me on this. And 5/100ths. And do you remember when I showed you this little trick of I could slide one of these digits over and combine it with another one? Which one of these words would you get rid of to slide it over?
0 tenths.
I think I would get rid of this one. Now let's see if this is going to work on the active board. No. So I would like to slide that 1 over. Oh, look at that. So I'm actually decomposing this 1.05 into 10 tenths. I'm just going to put a T for tenths. And 5/100ths. Go ahead and write that down. Not this part up here, okay? Just the decomposing part at the bottom. And when I decompose, don't I usually add those two numbers together?
Yeah.
That's pretty important on this little mental math strategy. Okay, now I'm writing this down, but I need 3 equal signs. Okay, and we're still in unit form. So I'm going to take the 10/10 and I'm going to put it at the front of my parentheses. And what am I dividing by here, boys and girls? 5. So that takes care of the 10/10 right here, doesn't it? Now I'm going to add 5/100 divided by 5. Now, eventually you'll do all this in your head. You'll look at 1.05 and you'll think, okay, 10/10 divided by 5, 5/100 divided by 5, and you're going to get the answer. So help me out here. 10/10 divided by 5, what is it? 2/10. You have to write that down. Plus 5/100 divided by 5. What's 5 divided by 5? 1/100. Now all I have to do is write it in standard form. How am I going to write 2/10? 0.2, and then add 1/100 on it. And my answer to this problem is what? 21/100, okay? And eventually you'll get so good at it you can do it in your head. Let's do the next one. Now, how many of you want to take a guess as to what place value the answer is going to be in? You're saying thousands because we have a little rule, don't we? When I divide a decimal by a whole number, my place value does not change. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to slide some digits over, okay? So don't start this yet. This is 3 ones, correct? 0/10. Usually I wouldn't write that, but I'm going to for today. 1/100 and 5/1000. Okay, so now if I'm going to divide by 5, my number's got to be divisible by 5. Does anybody know that rule for if a number's divisible by 5? Okay, somebody in block 1 knew it. I can't remember who it was, but listen to the rule. Any number that ends in a 0 is divisible by 5. And any number that ends in a 5 is divisible by 5. And I've got divisibility rules right here in the room, and this is the one for 5. If the number ends in a 0 or a 5, you can divide 5 into it evenly, and you won't get a remainder. Okay, so help me think of numbers that end in 0s and 5s.
25.
True, but I just want to slide stuff over.
30.
30.
Are you watching time?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop right here and let you guys go to class, and I will continue it with. Okay, so let's look at this. I moved the 30 over to the 10th place, so that means I'm going to decompose here and write 30/10. And over here, if I take out the hundredths and move the 1 over, and I don't think it's going to work, so I'll have to erase the 1, move it over. I'm going to have 15/1000. And I'm just going to abbreviate like that. So to decompose 3 and 15/1000, I'm going to do 30/10 plus 15/1000. So that's what I will divide by 5. So the first one is 30/10. Whoops. Divided by 5 plus 15/1000 divided by 5. And my 3 equal signs. So 30 divided by 5 would be 6/10 plus 15 divided by 5 would be 3/1000. So how do I write 6/10? And then I have 3/1000. So my answer is 603 thousandths. Okay, good job today.